Welcome, Federico Capeci.
Hello! So I start with a story. I tell you this story that happened a couple of days ago when I was at home packing my stuff before this trip, and I was with my daughter, 9 years old there. And at the moment, she asked me, "What do you do, Dad? What's your job?" And I tell you, when a woman in general, but especially a daughter, asks you something, you have to be really careful with what you say. I say, well, what I do is I ask people what they want so that companies can produce better products or better advertising. And she said me, well, simple, so simple. This is what I do every day with my friends. And actually, this reminded me how simple our job is. Marketing is really a simple job. Not that easy, but simple. We need just to give people what they want at a reasonable price and when they need it. But what Alice, my daughter, doesn't know, actually, is that people don't tell you what they want. And someone also don't know what to desire. This is what we call consumer insight. And when we discover this, we need to move before our competitors immediately. We need to be so relevant that also our consumers will be surprised in what we discover. This is what we call consumer insight. And this is what the great brands we all know, the most famous brands in the last 20, 30 years, what they did, actually. Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, Unilever, P&G, they discovered that particular need that made that so great. And for this reason, this lady here behind was not buying products because she wanted to cook better. She just wanted to be a perfect wife for his husband. And the marketing process was quite simple. We had the process starting from building awareness, then interest, then desire, and at the end, the action and the purchase, actually. And this is what, again, made those brands really, really great. But, they had one single target with one mass media, which was television, and today things are being a bit complex today. So we have different kind of families, old families, new families, and be careful, the new families is here on the left with a dog. We have, immigrants with residents. So we need to be very careful when we want to export, for example, that, we are full of stereotypes when we export, but the country where we are selling products no longer the same country, is no longer made of the same kind of people. When I used to, start working in digital, my life was really simple. I had online and offline consumers, and they were so different that I can advise my clients which media to use and which advertising to run. And we have strange consumers now. They buy Coca-Cola and they drink Pepsi-Cola. They, own products. No, they use products, as we've seen in the previous presentation on the sharing economy. And we have now at least 4 different generations in front of us. We have baby boomers, we have X generation, my generation, we have millennials and centennials, and now probably alpha generation. So how to deal with such a diverse kind of consumers? This is the question my speech would like to talk to you about. So about definitions, how many baby boomers we have in this room today? No one. What you did with your employees? Okay, so a few baby boomers, X generation like me, so people around 35, 50 years old, quite a lot. How many millennials? Less millennials, and hopefully no one in the last generation. I tell you another secret. The world is not divided into, younger or older. The world is not divided into millennials and non-millennials. So this is a fact. We have at least, I told you, 4 generations in front of us when we design new products, when we design and plan new marketing activities. And this is the numbers. And you see the millennials in Czech Republic, for example, is 18%, but X generation 23, baby boomers 31. So the numbers are huge in all the different generations. So the question is, how can I describe a generation? Because the age group is no longer something really effective. And this is just, let me say, the starting point of the definition of a generation. There are 2 more elements that we need to add. One is a tremendous fact, a social, technological, cultural big event that disrupted with the past. And then, to be a generation, you need to have a shared view on the future. Okay? This is what we call a generation. So, if you want to work on generation more than on age groups, you have to, understand what their values are. So the values of a generation is what made, this group of people thinking to belong to something in common. So how to understand those values? Because people share the same values. And if you want to understand someone now, if you want to understand a baby boomers now, for example, or an X generation person now, you have to go back in time when this person used to be young. So understanding the context where those generations grew up is crucial if you want to act at the marketing, at the product level, also as an employer to those people. So let's start the journey. This is the world of the baby boomer generation. So it's a world made of, passion, prosperity. You go back in time 40 years ago, and those are pretty, global trends, mainly Western, but also other countries around the globe made the same after the Second World War. So the first man on the moon, the first washing machine at home, cars for everyone, the Dolce Vita here from Italy. But we had the same, for example, in Japan. So the miracle of United States, of Italy, of Japan was the same. And it was, a period of strong revolutions. So this is the context where a baby boomer grew up. When a baby boomer used to be a teenager, this is what happened around him. So this is why you can start now understand better someone which is aged between 50 and 74. They are idealists, they are positivists, they look at tomorrow, they want to begin a new activity, they want to change. This is their challenge in life, and they focus on doing things, and doing things immediately. Their social sense is not them specifically, but it's the we, and they want to make the difference. This is the world where I lived when I used to be teens, the X generation, so we have to go back to the 80s, and this is the world. Big hair, dress, spray, colors, the first video games, the first mobile phones, and we were quite happy to have such a big things near us, right? Colors, music, the first music cassettes, and the first Mac. But also, it was a period of big contrast. The world there, the communists vis-a-vis United States, and this generated in us a new parameter of judgment. So we grew up judging things in oppositions. So we were married or not, male or female. We were Nike or Adidas. We were Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola. And you defined yourself and the world you have in front of you doing this kind of exercise. So this is why we also are today a bit skeptical, because the contrast between what we hope to have in the future and what we realized became the future made a sort of big question marks in front of us. So we are skeptical, we suspend our judgment, and we really focus on the today. On the today we want to obtain, and we want to solve this sort of tension between what is ideal and what we can do. And this is where the big brands of the past became rich, solving this tension of an aspiration of the consumers. And this is the world of the millennials. So a completely different world, a much more collaborative world, a world made of a new concept of home, cars, completely far from the concept of the status symbol. But it's also the world of the, big brother here. So the world that always, in every single moment, meshes reality with the virtual. And so this is why they are so pragmatic. They do not distinguish things. They are so pragmatic because they are really able to balance things. They are really realistic, and the sense of the time they have is completely different. They are for the always, not for the yesterday or tomorrow. And the relationship setting is joining the difference, not making the difference like the baby boomers, not be different like the X generation, but joining the difference. But I know you had a lot of talk last year around millennials. So this is important because this has strong implications on us, on our companies. So if you want, for example, to create a new brand, if you want to communicate to them, you have 3 different generations in front of you. If you want to talk about baby boomers, you have to provide gratification, X generation independence or experimentation. The brands should allow to invent, execute, or create. The brands foster performance of the baby boomer generation rather than the aspiration or the connection. And this is really the key point. We as a X generation grew up with an idea of brand which is no longer existing for the newest generation. So this idea that a brand can allow me to pretend to be someone else, with this sense of belonging, is no longer what the millennials feel, for example. You have to be like them. So it's not, the consumers that comes into your world, but the other way around. Your world that comes into their world as a millennial. And also, in terms of, employer engagement strategies, the company should promise a career, a role, or a development for the 3 different generations. So if you want to, have a snapshot on this, the meaning of the brand is dramatically different for the 3 generations. For the baby boomers is, a chance. For the X generation, a desire. Or for the millennial, a shared view. So you have status symbol brands, belonging brands, and experimental brands. So what do we do? So we have 3, 4, or even more generations in front of you, but we know that great brands are universal brands. Great brands speak to all the consumers the same way, of the same value. So what we can do if we want to deal, if we want to manage such a big complexity. And this is what is coming quite frequently from the brands. Well, the big brands now are more than aware that they are losing connections. They are losing, this harmonized kind of system that they used to have with the consumers. And this is really, really tough. But we know that, big brands have a meaning. And, these just show you that those brands are the brands that we classify as unique and with a strong meaning for all the consumers. And they react before others to the crisis. This is the stock value. And their value is year after year increasing. So how to do this? And this is a quote I found last night. It's not about what you tell your children, but how you show them how to live in life. So it's not the what, but the how that makes the difference if you want to embrace such a big and diverse kind of consumers, employers, and so on and so forth. And actually, this is what made Coca-Cola great. So Coca-Cola, based every single success in the story on this value of happiness. But the way Coca-Cola expressed, the value of happiness differ and vary a lot for the different generations. So it's the how, not the what. Again, there are, instruments, tools, strategies you can use to deal with such a complexity and on the how in general. So we know, for example, that media can play a huge role. We have people that can read and love to read, people that can watch and love to watch, and people that only need to follow you if you deserve. And this is impacting also a lot my industry, not just marketing, but also my industry of the consumer insight. When we interview people, we started to give long descriptions of concept of new products to millennials, and we actually lost them after first meeting. So marketing, media, consumer insights, strategy, the communication strategy overall can differ a lot. But again, this is simple. If you have a niche brand and if you want to communicate to one specific target, you just make choices. But if your ambitions are to be a huge brand, a multinational brand that wants to communicate to all the generations, how can we do it? So there are 3 steps that we identify that can help you in this path. And you can use a lot of levers. So it's not the what, but it's the how you communicate. So the media you choose, the pricing system you choose, the offer, the products, the distribution channel you use, the creativity you use, and the languages, the tone of voice you use makes the difference. So the choices you make on the marketing mix is really crucial. But then you have 3 strategies you have in front, starting from the simpler one to the more complex. The first is avoiding excluding targets. So we've seen a lot of advertising, great advertising, but excluding completely, different genders, different age groups, and different generations. For example, in the alcoholic industry, this is happening a lot. They tend to speak a lot about the millennials and the younger generations, but their consumptions are made of the older ones. So what happens if you exclude a kind of a target? The second step is talking to all. And the third one is talking to each and every one of your targets. And I'll try to elaborate a little bit more on those three strategies. So the first rule or suggestion or advice is don't polarize. So sometimes we are too linear, sometimes we are too complex. Sometimes we are too emotional, but we lack in information, for example. Sometimes we are really fun, but other times we are too serious. And I'm going to show you a couple of videos on the same category. The first, a little bit extreme and polarizing, and the second one on the same category, more able to talk with different targets. Run the video, please.
Burn Energy Drink, now extra potent.
So very funny ad actually, but was a disaster in terms of recall and understanding from the public. Because I'm not sure, this was supposed to be a commercial for youngers, but I'm not sure that this idea of the transgression is what millennials have in mind. So look at the second video.
Hi, I'm Tom, from the same ship.
What now? How shall we escape?
I'm afraid that might take some time.
Hold me.
No Red Bull, no wings.
So beside the savings in media, because it was a 10 seconds ad vis-a-vis a more than 30 seconds ad, this was the advertising of the leader. And you recognize it, because this advertising speaks to all without excluding targets. It's inclusive in the tone of voice, in the creativity, even speaking of the same topic of the previous one. So it's inclusive with younger and older, it's inclusive with men and female, and it's inclusive for all the generations. So once we stop excluding explicitly, targets, we are ready for the second step of the process, which is talk to all. And we know that universal brands speak about universal values. So the game here is to identify that specific universal value that you can leverage on in your products, advertising, marketing activities, even in the point of sale into the pricing activities. And I'll be showing you a couple of more videos.
Beleza é algo que transcende o nosso corpo. Vem da alma. Eu amo ser mulher. É muito bom a gente se aceitar, se amar, reconhecer o nosso valor. O Dia da Mulher? Eu acho importante sim, mas não para ganhar flores. A gente quer respeito. Esse é meu primeiro Dia da Mulher. Oficialmente. Tô pronta.
So would you say that this advertising speaks to men, women, transgender? So this advertising speaks of universal value in a particular and unique way. And I'll be showing you another advertising. I always get 5% people crying in the audience, so I hope to find the same percentage here in Prague.
So, has technology gotten in the way of your relationship?
Absolutely. It's definitely been a barrier to connect with my son.
Hay menos oportunidad para nosotros de hablar con ellos directamente.
テクノロジーでできるかもわかりませんけども、やはり親がこう思う気持ちっていうのは。
All right, so we're testing this incredible new technology. For right now, we've prepped a few basic questions for you to ask.
¿Cómo me pongo una corbata?
Empieza con la parte ancha de la corbata en la derecha.
How do I shave?
Because you have a really strong, sharp jawline, do not press too hard because you can easily cut or nick yourself. Good luck, bud.
This really knows me.
すごいもう。
All right, so now you can start asking it some deeper questions.
Wie frage ich ein Mädchen auf einem Date?
Sei wie du bist und sei nicht schüchtern. Du siehst gut aus.
Como que eu mostro a confiança?
Você é esperto, gentil, você pode fazer qualquer coisa que você decida fazer.
Ay, ¿me puede adoptar? ¿Para qué tiene?
僕は誰かを愛してるってどうやってわかるんですか？
好きな彼女のことを考えると仕事や勉強が手につかなくなるものです。
Okay, I think we're ready to show you how this thing works.
You didn't get it? Oh, you were the voice?
Ya sé, pero sí estuve. Ahí estaban platicando los dos.
Ah, era eu.
Isso mesmo? Achei que era um aplicativo.
いや、そんなアドバイスくれるんだなと思って。
Eu vou estar sempre por você. E eu dou minha vida por você.
Ustedes son lo más importante para mí.
いや、いつもそんな聞ける時がないからよかった今回は。
And this commercial was really great because it was able to speak to everyone. So to the fathers, to the son, to the mother, to all the people. And then we have the last one. Once, we've learned that we needed to avoid excluding explicitly a target. Then we have this second strategy, which is to, take one universal value and speak to all. But then we have further options now. Technology is helping us to really reinvent marketing and to really use data to get the target where he or she is with the content he wants in that particular moment. So it's not just programmatic advertising, it's not just programmatic media, but it's this idea of engineering marketing so that contents, you prepare a lot of contents before, and you ask the algorithms to distribute the content according with the media and the specific moment that the consumers are living. Run the video, please.
Mio padre è un tipo molto forte, è stato un manager di un'azienda. Ho notato che da un mese che ha problemi all'udito. Lui si ostina a non ammettere di avere questo problema.
Mio padre si chiama Franco, è molto chiuso, difficilmente riesce a mostrare le proprie emozioni. Vedo molto difficile portarlo per un controllo dell'udito.
People with hearing difficulties often do not accept tips from their children. And what if it was someone else to convince them? We invited people with hearing difficulties to join a focus group for a company that supplies glasses, and we asked them, what advice would you give to a grandchild who doesn't want to wear glasses?
Puoi sempre provare, non fa mica male portare gli occhiali.
Mettere gli occhiali è normale. E nessuno ti prenderà in giro.
The grandparents did not know that the grandchildren were there, and when they appeared, suddenly the roles were overturned.
Ciao.
E dove giochi fuori tu?
Puoi sempre provare a mettere l'apparecchio acustico. Non fa mica male, sai. Lo sai che aspettare fa solo peggiorare le cose. Nessuno ti prenderà in giro.
The The experiment became a video hosted on the site bastaprovaci.it. The site has collected many personal stories, opening the conversation about the topic of hearing problems. In short, views have skyrocketed, and the video was among the most viewed online in Italy. With the contest, we involved hundreds of Italian children, inviting them to overcome little tests to convince their grandparents to do the same, to take the hearing test. The results were exciting. In very little time, Amplifon has made aware millions of Italians about the importance of hearing. And now everyone knows that in order to feel better, just try.
So this was an example of a good strategy. This strategy is good because allowed the brand to speak to each of the different generations you can have in front of you, even in such a old kind of category. They defined that to have not just a user target, but also the influencer. So they were able to talk to boomers, but also X generation and even to millennials. And they did it thanks to a clever and a smart use of marketing and analysis. They used television, but also YouTube for speaking with different generations. They made a huge use of the online influencers, for example, together with the offline influencers. So mixing all you have for a great recipe, all the ingredients you have, like, again, pricing, media, it's what can allow you to make great advertising. And I leave you with this personal quote for you in this event. It's not about the what, but the how, even if you have in front children and grandfathers. Thank you.